Hello everyone, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV, and before we get into tonight's match reaction, it will be a rant, but there will also be a hint of rationale involved in this video as well. But before we get into that, I want to wish a happy birthday to Thomas Featherstone. Thomas Featherstone turned 10 today. Happy birthday, mate. Hope you've had a good one despite Newcastle United's result. Right then, let's dive straight into the match then. I'm going to dive straight in. I'm going to get the angry stuff out the way first, because I am angry. The whistle's just blown. Newcastle are out of the FA Cup for the third year in a row in the third round. We can't even play one bastard game in this competition, and we're out of it already. We're knocked out already, and it's the third round. What's going on? You got the likes of Bore and Wood who have played about 14 games to get to this point. We've only got to play one, and we can't even get past the next round. Blackpool! The roller coasters are in the next round, and we're going home. Fuck, and I can't believe it, man. I cannot believe it. Sheffield Wednesday. Now, I said in my preview, to be fair, this was going to be a hard game. This had the potential giant killing upset. That's why it was on BBC at 6 o'clock. That's why it had been moved. Sheffield Wednesday, Darren Moore doing a brilliant job. Long unbeaten run. But Newcastle surely still have enough to beat them, especially the run we're on ourselves. But, before we get into Chris Wood, let's start from the off. We make 9 changes from that draw against Arsenal on Tuesday night. And that was always going to happen, and it makes sense. It makes sense doing that. To be fair, making those changes, it does, because we have to, consider the fact we've got the Carabao Cup on Tuesday night. We've got a quarter-final on Tuesday night. We have to consider that. We have to make sure that we have our best possible chance of getting through to a semi-final. And by doing that, we have to rest the likes of Bruno, Trippier. I mean, Bobman still played tonight. Dubravka came out of the cold. He started. Javi Mankiwa started. Matt Ritchie, 47 years old. Gordon Ramsay starting. Do you know what I mean? What the hell? And then Isak starts is the positive. Alexander Isak starts, but just like, you can just totally tell that he's rusty. Obviously, he hasn't played for 3-4 months now. He's obviously going to be rusty. He's obviously going to be up against it. He had chances in the first half. At least he got them on target, but he still should have scored. Let's be honest. I'm going to hammer Chris Wood soon, but Isak should have scored. But Isak has the benefit of the doubt that he's never played in bloody Sheffield before on a cold, windy Saturday night, has he? But the more important, he hasn't played football for a few months, so he can be let off. At least he still tested the goalkeeper, who, by the way, their goalkeeper had an unbelievable game, probably the best game of his life, kept us out numerous times. He was fantastic, but we just didn't have that cutting edge. Jacob Murphy in that first half, when he tries to lob the keeper, it goes wide and he's chasing after it. Take a touch and take it around him. Take a touch, take it around the keeper, start at home. There was so many bad decisions in the final third tonight that just cost Newcastle so much. In the first half, we should be going up in the lead. Wednesday did nothing in that first half. They put one wide where it was a terrible back pass by Elliot Anderson. He didn't look great tonight. I fancied him tonight. I wanted him to play. I fancied him to have a good spell. He's played in those lower divisions before. He didn't do himself any justice, really. But again, he's coming out with the cold. Every single one of those players, you can tell, have just been put together tonight. And that's the risk of... I think you've got to make 4 or 5 substitutions. Changes to the lineup, not 7, 8, 9. There was one too many changes tonight for me, to be honest, because we should have kept a couple more players in there just to keep the balance, because the passing was way off tonight. The passing was completely out of rhythm. It looked like, we just turned up and we just plucked people out of the Sheffield parks, plucked people out of the local parks and just thought, you can play, his brother can play, the dad can play, because there was no momentum, no rhythm in the first half. Wasn't very good. However, second half was a lot better. Second half, we looked like we were getting together as a team. Isak comes off. That was always the plan, to take him off after 45 minutes. So don't worry, he's not injured or anything. It was just give him 45 minutes, then he's off. Chris Wood comes on, and my God! Before I get into Chris Wood, before I get into Woody, man, Deadwood, we're making the change. Wood comes on, but then we seem to have a bit more fluidity about us in the second half. We're starting to get used to each other, who's going to make what runs. It's looking better. It's looking a lot better in the second half. We seem to have a bit more energy, a bit more oomph about it. And that was the thing, there was a massive lack of oomph in this game. Every shot that we had, there was no power. Dragging it wide, passing it to the keeper, easily deflected. There just wasn't enough. There was nowhere near enough. And then in that second half, Wednesday take the lead. Sheffield Wednesday take the lead, and the bloke is miles offside. Where's VAR? Why is there no VAR in the FA Cup? Just because it's at a League One ground. So if it was at St James's Park, there would have been VAR. What kind of nonsense is that? Where's the fairness in that? There's got to be VAR. There's VAR in the Premier League grounds. You've got to take the kit with you to the fucking non-league grounds and make sure it's plugged in and ready to go. You've got to have VAR at these non-league grounds, man. This is League One. They're flying high at League One. It's a big ground, Hillsborough. Historical ground. How is there not fucking VAR there? There's got to be VAR there. There's got to be the referees there ready. We get robbed. You know, they take the lead, but then they go 2-0 up. They go 2-0 up. It's not like we come back and it's 1-1, and then obviously there's a hint of Bruno's goal that's offside. I'm not sure because it's just to keep out what the crack is there, but it would still be VAR, checked offside, whatever. But that first goal shouldn't stand. That first goal sets the tone for the rest of the game. We then make the changes that's required by bringing on the likes of Almiron, Trippier, Bruno. As soon as we bring those players on, it's a different game. And this is what I hate about making so many changes. Why not start a Bruno? Just one of them. Just one. Just start a Bruno, start a Trippier, start a Almiron, and then take them off. Then take them off once we've took the lead. Once you've took the lead, oh, sit cosy now. Cosy. Right. 1-0 up. Sweet. Bruno, have a rest, lad. Get Anderson on now. Don't start the likes of Anderson and then bring on a Bruno when it's backs against the wall and it's Alamo time and time's running out and time wasting happens from Wednesday and the clock's ticking. The pressure's on. Get a nice little lead, 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, then take them off, then give the youngsters a chance. Anderson, young, fit, running against slow, lazy League One legs, then that is the idea. Just start one of those players, man. Just start a Bruno, because you can see the difference he scores, but the difference he made to the team on the pitch. Trippier as well was doing brilliant. He set pieces with the space on the right-hand side, making things happen, balls in the box. Great. Too little too late, to be honest. The crowd's already changed, the momentum's already changed. Wednesday have doubled the lead. And Chris Wood, let's get on to it now, because I cannot be arsed. Chris Wood, the amount of times I said from day fucking one he wasn't good enough. And I said it in my reactions back then last season. Oh, you're being harsh, you're being nasty, you're being negative. Bollocks. You've all seen it tonight firsthand. If you've never watched Sky Sports because you just don't pay for it, or you've never seen a dodgy stream because you don't watch them, you've watched it on terrestrial television tonight, plain as day, in black and white, Chris Wood, dog shite. Not good enough. Not bastard good enough. He wouldn't even get a game for Sheffield Wednesday, man. I'd rather have Windass up front. And I'm not talking about Sheffield Wednesday's Windass that scored 2 tonight. I'm talking about his dad. I'm talking about Dean Windass. I'd rather have Dean Windass from Hull City, mid-2000s, than Chris Wood up front. Chris Deadwood. I've had enough. And this is the sign that we need reinforcements in January. Our squad depth is not good enough. Simple as that. Not good enough. There's no end, and you make the changes and that's what happens. This team has been amazing. Eddie Howe has been amazing. The owners have been amazing since taking over. But there's no depth. There's no depth whatsoever. You make changes and we'll look like shite again. We'll look like Brucey Val. We'll look like lost. You know, it's simply bad. Really, really bad. And Woody, that chance he misses. I've said it, I'm watching it there and I'm saying, don't pass to Chris Wood. Please don't drill it and just shoot. Just deflect it, go for a corner. It's a waste of time passing to Chris Wood. It's a waste of time having him up front. It's utterly pointless. Stick Dan Burn up front. I'd rather have Dan Burn up front. Just stick a defender up front. Jamal Lascelles, Nick Pope. Dubravka's playing a goal. Fine. Put Nick Pope up front. He cannot do any worse than Chris Wood. I'm telling you, he's absolutely useless. That shot man over the bar. And you just know it's coming. And he looks stoned. Is he stoned or what? Is Chris Wood doing up joints on the sideline or what? Because he just looks stoned when you see him on the pitch and he's just like, oh, put that over the bar, did I? Cushy. It's not cushy. We're out the FA Cup, you laughed on. You know what I mean? Chris Wood, man, I've had enough. Get rid of Chris Wood. Hopefully Isaac and Wilson stay fit. Wilson, nowhere in sight tonight. St. Maximin, that was the game for him. Apparently he's got illness. What's he got? Floozies. People are talking about a bust up between Eddie Howe and St. Maximin. I've seen rumours of on social media. Maxie's posted on his story saying he was watching the team cheering them on. I've got no idea on that. Couldn't comment on it. But it would have been good to see St. Maximin tonight. It would have been good not to see Chris Wood tonight. It would have been bloody good to see Newcastle progress tonight. Get through to the FA Cup next round because it's a great competition, historic competition. I'm a big fan of it. But I'm going to hit you with some realism and some rationale at the end of this video. Maybe that isn't the worst thing that could have happened in Newcastle tonight, get knocked out. Just maybe. Hear us out, because we're in the quarterfinals on Tuesday, and that is a bigger game. And that will give them a kick up the arse for Tuesday. It might bring them back down to earth, realise that we've still got a lot to do going forward, and hopefully we'll get through to a semi-final. And obviously, I mean, if we get knocked out on Tuesday, it looks terrible. We're out of both cups, fucked. But if we get through on Tuesday and we're through to the semi-final, then it looks a lot prettier, it's a lot better. And you kind of subsidise the FA Cup, especially considering where we are in the league. Now, we're fighting for top 4 at the minute. If we get top 6, amazing. So maybe with our squad depth, we know it's not there. Maybe it's not the worst thing to happen, getting knocked out of this competition, because no way do we have the strength and depth to be playing 3 competitions. We don't have it to be playing 2, and we've seen it tonight. You make the changes and we're knocked out. We don't have it. Now, there's still a week's break until then, but because we've got Carabao Cup on Tuesday, we've rested players, and that's what's halted with. But maybe it's not the worst thing, because it gives us a chance to focus on the league, focus on getting European places, and all the attention lies on the trophy that we're already in the quarter-final stage, 1 game away from a semi-final, and it's 2 games away, 2 legs away from a final at Wembley. So it's a huge chance. It all turns to Tuesday now. I won't be asked about tonight if we beat Leicester on Tuesday, to be honest with you, because that's a glorious opportunity with the teams that are left in that competition as well. But obviously it's the FA Cup, which still much rather went through than being knocked out by a League One side. But yeah, trying to finish on some sort of positive note there. That'll do for me for this Saturday night match reaction. Let us know in the comments what you thought of tonight's game. Subscribe to the Magpie Channel TV, and I'll see you on the next one.